People keep saying that Jesus is Lord. He'll take me in the rapture. He'll come with a sword. Preachers on TV tell me I'm living wrong. But I've tasted the lips of sweet Babylon. Sweet Babylon, oh heavenly harlot, let down your hair and take me to bed. Hold out your cup and I'll pour the wine. Drink to the night of sweet Babylon. I know they call you the queen of damnation, our sacred love abomination, but dying in your arms is sweeter than salvation. Heaven is the night of sweet Babylon. Sweet Babylon, oh heavenly harlot, lover of all, refuser of none. Hold out your cup and I'll pour the wine. Drink to the night of sweet Babylon. Heaven is the night of sweet Babylon. Now, I don't know if that, if this picked up my guitar or anything else. It's just a little experiment this morning on my technology. But actually, we're actually reading the book, Ask Babylon, which is a very transparent segue to this morning's reading. So thank you for being tolerant of my little musical interlude there. If the technology works, I'll try to do something like that again, or maybe even do a little evening concert now and then. But just for our own reference, I was playing my GS Mini there with no amplification whatsoever, and only using my little blue snowball microphone here that I use every morning. So if that's good technology, that's good technology, and if not, we'll try something else if I do this again. Otherwise, I want you to see my toucan tie. I'm feeling very tropical this morning because it's sort of going to be muggy today. Anyway, we're nearly finished with the book. Ask Babylon, Answers to Questions of Life and Magic. And today's couple letters, the first one is on religion and masonry. Dear Babylon, thank you for allowing me to pester you with my questions and observations. You are a gentleman and a scholar, and a brother Mason. I'm still trying to figure out what the OTO is all about. I think I'm starting to understand that Thelema is actually a religion, correct? The Book of the Law is the Thelemic Bible, in a sense. Thelema is believing that God, and he just spells God with a capital G and then a space mark and a D, like many people do. Believe that God dwells in man. So that would make man God. And rather than answering to a higher power, you can be your own God by following your will. This would be the absence of a supreme being, unless you consider yourself a God. I, on the other hand, think that man is, in a nutshell, I think that man, in a nutshell, is a dumb animal. And I can't perceive the overall picture that is God. Okay, I'll say that sentence again. So, I, on the other hand, think that man, in a nutshell, is a dumb animal and cannot perceive the overall picture that is God. Yeah. A dog cannot drive a car, and a man cannot see his place in the universe. So I'm not sure about Jesus. But he was a great teacher, to say the least. I always thought dying on a cross was a small price to pay when you think about all 19-year-old kids that died in Vietnam for nothing at all. I would die on a cross to save every soul on the planet. Wouldn't you? People have sacrificed themselves for far less a cause. I still understand that without some form of organized religion, the world would be a bit chaotic. If some people followed their will, I would have been shot to death by now. I wonder if ignorance is a good excuse for me to get into heaven, if there is one. Name withheld. Hello, brother, name withheld. You're welcome. Not that I want to sell books. Well, I do. But I write them to explain things to myself, and in doing so, perhaps explain things to others as well. I try to specifically answer the question you ask below in The Magic of Aleister Crowley, and then I give the publishing information. But just off the top of my head, the first thing in the morning, I would like to put it like this. God is supreme consciousness, the highest power, within which all of creation, including you and I, reside. Everything is an aspect, an expression of the supreme consciousness. However, just because the subatomic particle and the ant and the tree and you and me are 100% God stuff, it doesn't mean that we have yet raised or realized our consciousness to the same level as that of the supreme consciousness. Until we have reached that level of self-awareness, we are most certainly answerable to the higher power of the supreme being and its laws, the mechanics of the universe. Example, you'll be answerable to the mechanics of the universe if you punch me in the nose and steal my lunch. The higher power is likely to reveal itself to you by allowing me to beat the crap out of you. I believe you might be missing the point entirely about what will is. Do what thou wilt does not mean do whatever you like because you're God. It means you've got a specific job to do as a component in the mind of God. You've manifested in this universe because this job needs, for some reason, God knows what, to be done on this plane. And it can be done by no one else but you. Finding out what that job is and doing it is our personal great work. By doing your great work, you're fulfilling the reason for your existence and bringing yourself into harmony and sync with the supreme consciousness or God's will. Your comment on organized religion is well taken. Many people, perhaps most unanchored by the quest to find their place in the universe, need to be rendered harmless to others, or at least others of their own class and heritage. Organized religions, with their laws and authorities, serve to frighten and intimidate them into docility. This is most easily done by making the people believe that they are inherently evil and need fixing, something that can only be done by one particular religion. Masonry, on the other hand, tells us that, quote, a fund of science and industry is implanted in man for the best, most salutary, and most beneficent purposes, unquote. We're not evil inside. We just need our rough edges chipped away, our consciousness raised, step by step, degree by degree. Many religions create people who are unchaotic by putting their minds in a prison. Masonry is designed to produce individuals who are free, balanced, productive, creative, loving, and spiritual, because their minds have been liberated. I hope this has been helpful. Fraternally, Baba Lon. The next letter is actually two letters, a quick first letter and a very brief answer from me, and then a follow-up from us both. And it's about magic and schizophrenia. Dear Baba Lon, is it possible for people with schizophrenia to better themselves through Kabbalistic mysticism? Name withheld. Dear name withheld, I'm sorry to say that I do not believe it would be helpful in most instances. Sincerely, Baba Lon. Letter number 2, Dear Baba Lon, I was very distraught over your last reply. I wanted to ask a couple more questions. I'm at my wit's end and I'm having trouble seeing a reason to continue. Is it possible for me to look at what I've manifested in my life and discover what my true values are? How can I discover what my true values are? Is it possible for me to get better and better myself and make myself fit? I know these are dumb questions, but the answers are very important to me. Name withheld. Dear name withheld, I'm especially concerned that my reply has put you, quote, at your wit's end and having trouble to see a reason to continue, unquote. I'm sorry to have disturbed you to the point of threatening suicide. I was being as frank and as truthful with you as I possibly could, and was hoping you would appreciate my candor. Excuse me while I hang up. Somebody doesn't want me to complete. How do I do this? There we go. That was strange. You ask if I thought it was possible for people with schizophrenia to better themselves through Kabbalistic mysticism. And I should have begun by saying anything is possible. But I certainly didn't mean to suggest that I believed there were no ways for you to discover your true values or better yourself. But you didn't ask me that. I certainly didn't mean to suggest that I believed there was any number of other spiritual disciplines that might, along with proper medical and nutritional treatment, be helpful to you. But you didn't ask me that. It has been my observation over the last 40 years that heavy involvement in ceremonial Kabbalistic magic exacerbates and amplifies problems and issues associated with schizophrenia rather than helping them, and often contributes to further and more severe levels of self-delusion. I am not a mental health expert, and I admit that it is possible the conclusions I have drawn from these observations are incorrect. You, of course, might be the exception, but I'd be less than a faithful correspondent if I were to lie to you about my past observations and encourage you to dive deeper into the exercises of Kabbalistic thought, the connecting of everything in the universe, or everything in heaven and earth, with everything in heaven and earth, connecting everything in heaven and earth with every other thing in heaven and earth, which is a process in its own way represents a self-induced form of mild schizophrenia. I wish you the best of luck. My best, Babylon. And finally, the last little letter this morning we'll talk about concerns the Qliphoth. Dear Babylon, can you tell me the correct spelling of the name of the world of unbalanced forces? These are all in quotes. The world of unbalanced forces, the world of shards, unquote, formed when the Sephirotic vessels were shattered by the lightning bolt of the descent of divine emanation. These are technical questions. This is in the technical magic section of the book. I cannot find it in the index of Schollem's original Origins of the Kabbalah, which made me pause. Is it the concept in traditional Kabbalah or only in the Western esoteric tradition? Warmly, name withheld. Dear name withheld, the word is actually rendered in English letters Qliphoth. In the Hebrew, it is spelled Kuf Lamed Yud Pe Vav Tau. I would say the concept of the Qliphoth is old enough to be considered part of the traditional Kabbalah. To the best of my knowledge, it has always been, at least in a primitive state, part of the doctrine of the four Kabbalistic worlds, which surfaced in the 12th century with Jacob ha-Nazir's Masecheth Atzoloth treatise on emanation. The shells are also mentioned in the 25th paragraph of Chapter 1 of the Book of Concealed Mysteries, the cornerstone of the Zohar. But in this place, as part of the 7 inferior emanations of the Queen. In the Kabbalah, various seemingly contradictory points of view can be simultaneously true. One school of thought may view the entire material universe as the abode of the Qliphoth. Another may view it as the averse counterpart of every plane of consciousness, emanation, or Sephiroth. Emanation or Sephirah. My poor brain likes to look at things as if everything is Qliphoth. Crust, I call it. Everything is the crust of the plane or level of consciousness or being just above it. As example, the physical body is the crust of the mind is the crust of the spirit, whatever that is. The spirit is the crust of the one big universal, what it is. I hope this has been helpful. Babylon. And that's where it's going to end today. We'll pick it up tomorrow with the provocative question, can I have a vasectomy and still be a sex magician? Until I'm now going to answer that phone message and see who that was. Until tomorrow, continue to take care of yourself and be good to yourself and each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will. See you tomorrow, Wednesday.